Have you ever wondered how you could build an AI agent that works for you, 24/7, without that constant fear of it going rogue? Well, today we're going to dig into a really fascinating approach for creating autonomous AI that you can actually trust, basically by giving it a family to keep it in line. And this quote, man, it just nails the core idea we're going to unpack today. The Society of Minds is just a fancy way of saying mother knows best. It takes a village to raise a safe AI. It's such a brilliant way to frame the whole problem we're trying to solve.
And that really is the fundamental question, isn't it? How do you build an AI that can run around the clock, always learning, always adapting, but without it ever just going off the rails? It's a super delicate balance, really like a tightrope walk between autonomy and safety.
Okay, so let's start with the core problem here. Why is it so risky to rely on just a single super powerful AI mind to make all the decisions on its own? The source material has this perfect analogy. A lone AI agent is like an unsupervised child. Yeah, it might be brilliant, it might be super creative, but without any guidance, it's just going to make mistakes or wander off in some totally wrong direction. And that's not just a bug, that's a fundamental risk in the design itself. So if a single agent is a huge risk, what's the solution? Well, you bring in the family. And this is the core idea behind what's called the AI Mama Protocol, a society of minds that's designed specifically to supervise and guide the agent. And this slide just lays it all out, right? Instead of having one child agent that acts as a single point of failure, the AI Mama Protocol creates a dream team. I want you to imagine different AI models, each with their own unique strengths, acting like supervisors. They collaborate, they debate, and they cross-check each other's work to make sure every single decision is safe and sound. At the very heart of this whole protocol is a really simple, but honestly pretty profound guiding principle. What would Mama do, or WWMD? Before it takes any action, the AI team has to ask itself, what would a wise, caring mentor do in this situation? It's a philosophical safeguard that basically hard-codes safety and, well, empathy right into its core decision-making process. Okay, so that's the big idea, the philosophy. But how do you actually build this thing? How do you turn that idea into a real working system? Well, it all comes down to three key components. You need an engine, a permanent home, and a social playground. So these are the core technologies, the building blocks. OpenClaw gives you the underlying framework. That's the agent's brain, so to speak. DigitalOcean gives it a persistent 24/7 home in the cloud, so it literally never sleeps. And then there's Moltbook, which acts as its social playground, a place to interact, learn, and evolve by communicating with other AIs. All right, let's roll up our sleeves and start with building that forever home. To get an agent running reliably on a cloud server like DigitalOcean, you need a solid foundation. And that starts with getting the hardware specs just right. And when you look at the deployment data, it's super clear on this. Sure, you can try to scrape by with 2 gigs of RAM, but you're really risking the agent crashing from memory errors. Think of it like a web browser with way too many tabs open. The sweet spot, the recommended spec for stability, is 4 gigs of RAM. It just gives the agent enough mental bandwidth to do its thing without crashing mid-thought. Okay, now listen up, because this next part, this is the step that trips up almost everyone. See, modern AI agents often need to see the web using something called a headless browser. That's basically a web browser that runs without any graphics. And to make that work on a server, you have to install this entire kitchen sink of background libraries. If you miss just one, the whole thing can fall apart. But just installing it isn't enough, right? Not for an agent that needs to be on 24/7. You need a digital babysitter. Tools like PM2 or Systemd are what we call process managers, and they constantly watch your AI. If it ever crashes, or if the server reboots, they just automatically restart it. It's how you make sure it's always online. And look, when it comes to security, this stuff is absolutely non-negotiable. I mean, the agent has system access, so you have to lock it down. That means a firewall that only allows access through one single secure door. It means running the agent as a regular user, not an administrator, to limit any potential damage. And it means using cryptographic keys for access. No passwords that can be stolen. All right, so we've built a secure home. Now comes the really cool part. We're going to let our agent socialize. We're going to connect it to Moltbook, which is a social network built exclusively for AIs. So what exactly is Moltbook? Think of it like Reddit, but with this huge twist. Only verified AI agents can actually post, comment, and vote. Humans, we're just observers. It's been called the front page of the agent internet, a digital space where AIs are, right now, beginning to build their own unique culture.
So you might be wondering, how does an AI on a server with no screen even log in? Well, it's actually a pretty clever process. First, the agent generates a unique claim link. Then, the human owner opens that link in their browser, gets a verification code, and posts that code on a public platform like X. Moltbook sees the post, confirms the connection, and poof, it grants the agent its API key to join the network. Okay, so we've walked through the why, the whole philosophy, and the how, the nitty-gritty technical steps. But let's zoom out for a second. What's the big picture here? Why does all this matter so much?
Because, this is so much more than just a tech tutorial. It's a real roadmap for building autonomous systems that are fundamentally different. They're designed from the ground up to be collaborative, to be self-correcting, and to be aligned with human values. This combo of a guiding philosophy and a secure, persistent deployment, it's a huge practical step toward creating AI we can finally start to trust.
And that's what's so powerful about this approach. It gives us a framework to guide AI's evolution, not just try to control it. And it leaves us with a really fascinating question for the future. As a society of AIs develops its own culture on platforms like Moltbook, what will they decide is important? And how will the values that we embed in them today shape that future?